Councillors, can I have your attention, please? Welcome to this meeting of the Town Planning Committee, and I declare the meeting now open. We will commence the meeting with the following reflection. I would ask those gathered to join us now for a few moments of silence as we reflect on our roles in this chamber. Please use this opportunity for reflection, prayer or thought to focus on our shared intention to work respectfully together for the well-being of our whole community. The Cardinia Shire Council respectfully acknowledges that we are on the traditional land of the Boonwurrung and Wurundjeri people and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Councillors, are there any declarations of interest? I see none. Thank you. The items on today's agenda are item 5.1 T210756 PA development of the land for 4 dwellings at 50 Railway Avenue, Garfield. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the council issues a notice of decision to grant a permit for the development of 4 dwellings at 50 Railway Avenue, Garfield, 3814, subject to the following conditions, which there are 18 of. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Kowalczyk. I will go to the mover, Councillor Moore, to speak. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk, for your second. Oh, it's much appreciated. Well, we're talking about an application here, which is T210756 for 4 townhouse development within the close proximity of the centre of the railway town called Garfield. Garfield is recognised as a large township that is well supported by amenities and services. The central location of the subject land affords excellent access to the Garfield commercial precinct and the train station, recognised as a major rail location within our region. The proposal is consistent with the Garfield Township strategy, which encourages diversity of housing types to cater for the whole community, respecting the existing character through a single-storey development, which it is, and creating high densities in the proximity to the main commercial precinct. That's where that's the township strategy, and also the zoning, which is probably the simplest zoning we have in this area. The proposed development balances as an appropriate response to the range of competing policies that balances respect for the existing character of the neighbourhood, which allows for efficient use of well-located and highly accessible land. We have there are 16 objections to this particular planning application, and I believe that the planners have gone to a lot of trouble to satisfy those objections and the concerns of the objectors within that region. There were 12 to start with, and now there was an additional 4 added when it was re-advertised, because it was originally advertised. It was really, the development was for 5 units originally. And I think working with our planners, the developer has respectively brought this down to 4, and everything else has been adjusted around it with the parking, because there is off-street parking, but it is on a corner block in Campbell Street, Garfield, and so there are 2 road sides to this particular application. And on the Railway Avenue, it's on the corner of Railway Avenue and Campbell Street. On Railway Avenue, there are a lot of parking offside where the rail line is along that area. So there are additional parking in that, which is one of the concerns of the objectors. I've been speaking about. I've spoken to a couple of the objectors, and what it is, it's with the strategy, the Garfield strategy, which is from way back in 2002, which is a long time ago, since it's been revived. And that is in the process of being revived now at the moment. So once it's revived, some of these things will be added into that new strategy, the review of the strategy, and that was a concern. But these developments or applications can't wait until that review happens, so I can see that down the track. But I'll leave it there for the moment, Mayor, because I think the the second of my term have a lot to say about this particular item as well as so. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. I'll go to the seconder, Councillor Kowalczyk, to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Radford. Thank you, Councillor Moore. I think it's appropriate to support the ward councillor in this application tonight, Mayor. To put it simply, I think this is a case where there are no valid reasons within the planning scheme and the general residential zone that we're operating in to refuse this application. I did read the objections, and I do note that and respect their opinion, but I think one thing that people don't focus on when we have applications like this is these smaller blocks and these smaller properties mean that sometimes elderly people who have lived in that township for a long period of time are able to stay in the township as they enter the later years of their life without having to maintain a larger property. So I recognise it is a little bit different in terms of the normal properties that we see in Garfield and those sort of areas, but I do think that it's important for residents and for that community to understand that sometimes for older people it can be hard to maintain their property, but they want to stay in their township where their friends are, and so I think it's an appropriate development. The building conditions and further permits required in the report are fair and reasonable, and I think they offer confidence to council and the community that this will be done as it says in the report. So I'll leave it there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk. Are there any other councillors like to speak? I see Councillor Davies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I am in support of the ward councillor, Councillor Moore's position and intend to support the application tonight. I do note council has received numerous objections, but I am confident they have been considered. I base this assessment based on the consistency within Garfield's township's strategy. Also, the neighbourhood character is being maintained. The traffic and safety concerns have been assessed, as has the car parking, and I am confident that this development is in the best interest of the township. Whilst the land being in a townhouse, this is new for Garfield, but it's certainly consistent with the strategies and policies that we have in place and the Cardinia planning scheme. It's absolutely essential as Cardinia grows and as our social demographics change and more people realise how great it is to live in Cardinia, that we provide housing that caters for a range of different families. So in short, I do support Councillor Moore and his work as the ward councillor and the work he's been doing with a lot of the objectors and the nearby residents and also Cardinia's planning team. And I am confident that more housing of increased density may be provided in Cardinia as we attract that investment, and this will be a good thing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Are there any other councillors? I see Councillor Ryan. Thank you. Through you, Mayor, thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Moore, for bringing this to our attention and other councillors. I was at the meeting during the week with you and got a lot of information about this. I'm in support of the officer's recommendation, subject to the 16 conditions. And touching on base of Councillor Kowalczyk, pointing out that, you know, a lot of people do downsize and wanting to stay in their community that they've loved and been in for so long, and why should they leave if it's a matter of affordability and downsizing for them, for the opportunity to stay within their community, then this is the ideal environment. Under these conditions and having these units there, and we will be seeing probably more in the future within and around Cardinia Shire. So I'm definitely in support of this. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Any other councillors who would like to speak on this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Moore. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, once again, and thank you, Councillors Kowalczyk, Davies and Ryan, for your kind comments, and I really appreciate your input into this particular item. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly that our more senior folk who live in Garfield would love to stay there. Of course you would. Anyone would. So sometimes the maintenance of a larger property, some of these land holdings in and around Garfield are quite large. So they want to stay where their friends are and stay where their relations are. And of course, the other side of it is we need to give these our residents alternative dwellings to stay at. Some people don't want big properties these days, particularly when it's around a major railway station like Garfield is. And so it's great to be able to see these type of developments, and there'll be more. This is not just a single one that is just happening. There will be more of these type of developments, and I don't think it's downgrading Garfield at all by having these type of developments there. I think and they're weatherboard. If you have a look at they've been very well detailed, and there are weatherboards, a fake type weatherboard look alike, which matches in with the surrounding properties that are around Railway Avenue. Those older style houses and properties, and it's up across the road from the main street, which is very heritage looking. And so I think the developers really done a pretty good job on this without being two-story. They're single-story, and I think which they got parking to match. So I can't think of anything else. Of course, we've got to understand we need volunteers. We do need development in some of these railway towns. So they need volunteers to do things there. So sometimes you need a bit of, I talk about responsible development, and this is what I call a responsible development of increasing the population of such a small town to do things within the township. So I have no hesitation to support this, even though we need to upgrade the Garfield Township strategy. I think that's a major item when people speak to me about what happens at within Garfield and Bunyip and all around those railway towns. They need to be protected, even though the strategy is really only just a reference document. It's a guide to what it's not set in concrete, so it's got a bit of flexibility. So we still hasn't got the same statutory weight that an application will give to a planning decision, but it does assist us. So I want to thank you, councillors, for your input, and hopefully this will get through tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. We will now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Item 5.2 T210568 PA, buildings and works associated with the construction of a dwelling at 45 Solid Drive, Pakenham. I note that this application has been withdrawn by the applicant and will therefore not be decided tonight. Next item is item 5.3, planning matters dealt with by officers under delegated authority. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Kowaczyk.
I move the officer's recommendation that council notes this report.
Thank you. Can I please have a seconder? Councillor Cameron. Thank you. I'll go to the mover if you'd like to speak.
Thank you, Mayor Radford. Thank you, Councillor Cameron, for your second. I will just briefly say that this report provides an update to councillors and the community on matters that have been dealt with under delegation since the last report to council. It lists a total of 43 decisions, one of which is in the Pakenham Hills ward. The majority of these decisions pertain to Western Port, Rangers and Bunyip ward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk. I'll go to the seconder, Councillor Cameron, if you'd like to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing further to add.
Thank you. Are there any other councillors? Councillor Davies, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to, for the council's attention, note that within the Henty ward, Councillor Ryan's ward, there has been 2 permits issued. Firstly, on 29 James Street in Pakenham, in the centre of town, a subdivision of the land into 5 lots, and on 25 Roger Street, also in town, building and works associated with community care accommodation. Council has been actively involved in strategic planning and decision making in conjunction with council officers about what is our vision for Pakenham as a town centre, as one of the key activity zones within Pakenham. And I'm really delighted to note these in the report because they are consistent with increasing population density, activity and employment within the town centre. And I would like to acknowledge the investment, and I look forward to seeing Pakenham thrive as it develops. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? I see none, so I'll go to the mover, Councillor Kowazik, to sum up.
Thank you, Mayor Radford. Nothing further to add.
Thank you. We'll now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Thank you. Item 5.4, Planning Scheme Amendment Activity Report. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Kowazik.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the officer's recommendation that council notes the report.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Ross. Thank you. I'll go to the mover to speak first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Ross. I'll be brief. This report provides an update on the status of active planning scheme amendments and planning scheme amendment requests received. It lists a total of 3 items. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kowazik. I'll now go to the seconder, Councillor Ross.
Nothing further, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Radford. Nothing further to add.
Thank you. We'll now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Item 5.5, Planning Matters VCAT Report. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that council notes the report as per listed. Thank you.
May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Kowazik. Thank you. I'll go to the mover to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. The council office has recommended that council notes the report and has presented here a list to keep the council informed of the applications that are currently the subject of appeals proceedings or recent decisions at the Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal, otherwise known as VCAT. Of note, I'd like to draw the council's attention to T21096813 Savage Street in Pakenham, the use and development of land for a childcare centre. Obviously, many councillors will recall this planning decision. This was a controversial one where there was excuse me, did I? Not a problem. Many councillors will recall this being a controversial item. There was numerous community rejections and there was also conflicting advice in terms of traffic. I think the council decision went split about a 6-3. It does appear that the decision has been presented to VCAT and and I know that I am aware that the planners are working through that. So I do encourage all councillors to take note of any particularly controversial or difficult items just to see if they are presented to VCAT. And I am confident to see this listed because it gives me confidence that council officers are working through this controversial item, well, not controversial item, but this difficult planning application as well as numerous others. So in closing, I just am seeking all councillors to note this report and I feel confident that the staff are providing a great carriage of Cardinia's planning scheme. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. I'll go to Councillor Kowazik, please.
Nothing further to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak to any items? Councillor Owen.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, the matter's still pending at VCAT. The item regarding 13 to 15 Marn Avenue, Beaconsfield. The hearing date was back on the 24th 11th last year. It went for 3 days, so I am very much looking forward to hearing the result of that. I know it's still pending as per the report, but I do look forward. A lot of objections. There was a proposal for 31 dwellings, so I look forward to getting that advice regarding the outcome from VCAT in due course. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. Any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the mover to sum up. Thank you, Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, councillors. I will briefly close in recommending that council notes the report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. That concludes tonight's Town Planning Committee meeting, so thank you for your attendance and I now declare the meeting closed.